Every toy in my collection has a story, how I came upon it, why I bought it, or even just some random or obscure bit of info about it. Admittedly, not all of them are amazing, funny, or interesting, but I think some of them are, and I'd like to tell you about them, one toy at a time. This is Stories from the Toy Shelf, Redux. Episode 4, Two Dengars Is Too Much. Originally posted July 29, 2012. When the first Star Wars action figures came out in 1978, I was a bit too young to really appreciate them. Despite that, my older brother did a good job at ultimately getting me all excited about the toys, and so when my dad went to the US on a business trip, all I wanted for pasalubong was Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. The thing is, I didn't really ask for anyone specific. I just assumed that when you asked for Star Wars toys, you'd get all the main guys like Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Darth Vader. Or hell, even R2-D2 or C-3PO. So when my dad was away, I went around telling everyone who would listen, from all my friends to even my yaya, or what you would call a nanny, when my dad comes back with Luke and Han, I'm gonna make them fight Darth Vader and the Stormtroopers. It's gonna be amazing. Anyway, after what seemed to be an eternity, the day of days finally arrived. My dad came home and he seemed just as excited to give me my new toys as I was to get them. So there we were in his room and he slowly opened his bag, reached in, and pulled out Dengar! Wait, what? Who? But there was more. My dad was still excitedly pulling out more and more figures. After Dengar came Hammerhead, and then Cloud Car Pilot, and then Bespin Security Guard, Hoth Rebel Commander. Who were these people? Oh wait, my dad was reaching in one last time. Surely he must have saved the best for last. A Luke, a Han, hell even a Leia would be great. And then there it was. Dengar. Again? Yeah, even that confused my dad as well. I guess in all his excitement of bagging me a variant African-American Bespin security guard, like I really knew what a variant was at that point, he probably lost track of the fact that he already had Dengar in his shopping cart. Childhood disappointment was never so properly illustrated in that exact moment. I don't know if my dad picked up on my massively deflated excitement, but to be fair, I didn't throw a tantrum. I think I was more worried about having to face my yaya and show her my two Dengars fight with the Cloud Car Pilot. Anyway, this story does eventually have a happy ending. As it turns out, even if he didn't look like it, I later learned that Dengar was one of the bounty hunters who were assembled to hunt down Han Solo, and apparently was buds with Boba Fett. So, he must have been badass as well. Who knows? Oh, and he had a big, long gun. I was really grasping at whatever positives I could find. While he didn't get it right the first time, my dad did do good on his next business trips, and he eventually did bring home all the heavy hitters. I got my Luke, my Han, Vader, and even some Jawas, and with that, my Star Wars collection was well on its way. A Hunting We Will Go, originally posted November 12, 2012. When I wrote about my first Star Wars toys, it was all about how I got the obscure bounty hunter Dengar twice. Writing about that made me come to this minor realization, and that was even after I got my Lukes, Hans, and Leias, Dengar remained a favorite character of mine growing up. I mean, since I had two figures, at least one of them featured prominently in many of my play scenarios back then, and I pretty much took at least one Dengar around wherever I went. So this got me thinking. Since I'm not really into pure nostalgic collecting, as in getting the actual toys that I grew up with, I started getting curious to see what the updated or modern version of Dengar looked like, and well, I was quite impressed and tempted. So here's how my typical thought process and reasoning went. Hey, that new Dengar looks pretty cool. I wonder how much a second-hand version costs on eBay. Hey, that's not a bad price. But it wouldn't make sense to just get Dengar. Who would keep him company on the shelf? He would need to have at least one display mate. According to Wikipedia, Dengar partnered a lot with Boba Fett. Speaking of Boba Fett, he is such an iconic and cool-looking character. Any toy shelf would look incomplete without him. And he was one of my favorites even back then, so yeah, gotta get me a Boba Fett too. You know, come to think of it, all the bounty hunters were my favorites back then. I wonder how much the bounty hunters are going for on eBay. Wow! Someone is selling a set of bounty hunters? Cool. Yeah, that will work. But just to be clear, this does not mean I'm going to start collecting Star Wars. I can't afford to start collecting another toy line. I will only get the bounty hunters. And just the main ones. You know, the ones in Empire Strikes Back. So there you go. A couple months after writing about Dengar, I have these guys proudly displayed in my room. And yes, I know Greedo wasn't part of this group, but he was part of the set being sold on eBay, so whatever. I'd like to think that had he not been killed off by Han Solo in A New Hope, he would have ended up as part of this group anyway. Thanks for checking out Stories from the Toy Shelf Redux. For more stories, please like and subscribe to this channel. Click on the notification bell for updates or visit my website at storiesfromthetoyshelf.com and follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Until the next one.